there, this is Sherry Hayes with MomDelights.com, and I'm back! Stay tuned, we're going to talk about creativity. I wanted to thank you all for praying for me and everything. I was ill, so ill I couldn't move for a while, but I think it was an attack of the enemy because I think he doesn't want you to learn the stuff that we've got coming up, and it's really good. It's really it'll engineer your life. It'll re-engineer your life. It'll help you, I hope. I believe that the reason I was attacked physically recently with an illness is because the devil is not happy when people get revived, when they get released, when they get to live the abundant life Christ has for us on the earth. And so today we are going to continue in Eve Reborn. We're going to talk about, specifically, we're going to talk about creativity. So when people think of creativity, think of, painting, beautiful art, or, using a Cricut machine and making things, or sewing beautiful dresses, or arranging flowers, or decorating houses, whatever. But that's not where the creativity comes from. If you'll think back to our charts, and we talk about Eve being the mother of all things, and the refreshing creative part that God put in females. In the female is the creative Zoe life of God. Zoe is the Greek word for the life of God. And so when you put that in there, you realize that we are bundles of creativity. We are bundles of creative energy. Now, we might not express that in an artistic way, but we are still bundles of that type of activity. So let's talk about what that means in reality. So I'm going to give you an illustration. Okay, I had a friend, and this friend, her husband was a computer wizard, okay? So they had lots of money, and they decided they would go out in the country, and they bought some land, and they put a house, or I guess there was an existing house on there, and they got a whole bunch of animals, and they thought, well, we should have a good dog. So they bought themselves a sheepdog, and this sheepdog was extremely intelligent and extremely obedient. This is like the top-notch dog, very smart, and so but it was a sheepdog. And what are sheepdogs bred to do? Sheepdogs are bred to herd things and get things in groups and stuff like that. So they didn't have any sheep. Now, they did have like 3 or 4 kids, and they had some horses. Well, the sheepdog didn't have anything to do, so it would herd the kids, The kids would be out playing, doing different things, and the sheepdog would round them all up. A tight group. And so when the horses were out, the sheepdog would try to make the horses the 2 horses would always have to be together because the sheepdog had to keep them together. And when the horses were corralled and the children were inside, the sheepdog had absolutely nothing to do. So what did the sheepdog do? Well, the sheepdog would the mama would put the laundry out on the line, the sheepdog would pull it all off. The mama would stack the trash cans to be picked up, the sheepdog would knock them all over. And it wasn't that this sheepdog was a bad dog. It was a really good dog, but it just didn't have anything to do that was positive. So it ended up being destructive. So that's how women can be. We all know that it's in our potential to either be Eve deceived and use our creativity for evil, or Eve reborn to use it for good. And lots of times the good that we think we're doing is not good, and I'll explain why. Okay, so first we're going to talk about a biblical example. Well, there's other examples too that are really cool, but I think this biblical example, it's kind of a negative one, but I think you'll get it if I read it to you. So let me go ahead. I'm going to read to you from 1 Kings, and I'm going to read first in chapter 16, and I'm going to read about Ahab. Ahab was one of those kings he was a king of Israel, which is the northern kingdom, and he was evil, okay? He did bad things. Okay, so now I'm going to read the description of him, and this is starting with verse 30 of 1 Kings 16. Now Ahab, the son of Omri, did evil in the sight of the Lord more than all who were before him. And it came to pass, as though it had been a trivial thing, for him to walk as the sons of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, that he took as wife Jezebel, the daughter of Ethbaal, king of the Sidonians. And he went and served Baal and worshipped him. Now, so, in other words, Ahab was already pretty bad because he was causing Israel to worship this calf as though that was the one that brought him out of Egypt. Okay? You can look that up. But as if that wasn't even important, he married Jezebel. So you see, God holds him accountable for who he married. And let's read more about what this Jezebel. Jezebel was hell on wheels. It just was. Okay, and that's not a cursing. That's just a description. All right, so we're going to read one of the things that Jezebel did. Now remember, Jezebel is creative. She's a woman. She's full of creativity, and she loves to do creative things. And her creative things are, she didn't paint one picture that I could read about. She didn't paint pictures. She didn't do anything like that. But she worked people and circumstances. She could do that. Now, Naboth is one of the characters that she uses. And I'll read about this. This is in 1 Kings chapter 21. And it came to pass after these things that Naboth the Jezreelite had a vineyard, which was in Jezreel next to the palace of Ahab, king of Samaria. So it's right next to his palace, so he wants it, right? So Ahab spoke to Naboth, saying, Give me your vineyard, that I may have it for a vegetable garden, because it is near next to my house, and for it I will give you a vineyard better than it. Or if it seems good to you, I will give you its worth in money. Sounds fair, right? He's going to give him money for it. He'll give money, he'll give him another vineyard, he'll take care of him, right? But Naboth said to Ahab, The Lord forbid that I should give the inheritance of my fathers to you. Remember when they apportioned the lands, when they came out of Egypt and came into the promised land, his family had been apportioned this land, and he wasn't going to give it up because it had been in his family. It was what God gave him for his family. Okay, so Ahab went into his house, and he was moping, right, and sullen and displeased, because of the word which Naboth the Jezreelite had spoken to him, for he had said, I will not give you the inheritance of my fathers. And he lay down on his bed, and turned away his face, and would eat no food. Well, I'm just not going to eat then if I can't get what I want. Okay, anyway. But Jezebel, she's creative. She's going to come in and help. Okay, his wife came to him and said to him, Why is your spirit sullen that you eat no food? What's up with you, boy? What's wrong with you? Or, what's wrong, my darling? It could have been played a lot of ways, couldn't it? Okay. He said to her, Because I spoke to Naboth the Jezreelite and said to him, Give me your vineyard for money, or else, if it pleases you, I'll give you another vineyard for it. And he answered, I will not give you my vineyard. Okay. Then Jezebel, his wife, said to him, You now exercise authority over Israel. Arise, eat food, and let your heart be cheerful. I will give you the vineyard of Naboth the Jezreelite. He goes, that's easy. I can fix that for you. I got creativity. I know how to do it. I know how to work things, right? She's creative. So, and she wrote letters in Ahab's name, sealed them with his seal, and sent the letters to the elders and the nobles who were dwelling in the city of Naboth. She wrote in the letters, saying, Proclaim a fast, and seat Naboth with high honor among the people. And seat 2 men, scoundrels, before him to bear witness against him, saying, You have blasphemed God and the king. Then take him out and stone him, that he may die. What? So the men of his city, the elders and nobles who were inhabitants of his city, did as Jezebel had sent to them, as it was written in the letters which she had sent to them. They proclaimed a fast, and seated Naboth with high honor among the people, and 2 men, scoundrels, came in and sat before him, and the scoundrels witnessed against him, against Naboth, in the presence of the people, saying, Naboth has blasphemed God and the king. Then they took him outside the city, and stoned him with stones, so that he died. Then they sent to Jezebel, saying, Naboth has been stoned and is dead. And it came to pass, when Jezebel heard that Naboth had been stoned and was dead, that Jezebel said to Ahab, Arise, take possession of the vineyard of Naboth the Jezreelite, which he refused to give you for money. For Naboth is not alive, but dead. I just had him killed. So it was, when Ahab heard that Naboth was dead, that Ahab got up and went down to take possession of the vineyard of Naboth the Jezreelite. Now, it doesn't turn out happy for either Jezebel or for Ahab, I've got to tell you. But you'll have to read the rest of that story. It's fun. So, there is a scriptural example of creativity gone wrong. That is Eve deceived 100%. Now, let's look at some better ideas. Okay, so when Eve is deceived, it's destructive. But when Eve is reborn, then we have a wonderfulness. Okay, so have you ever watched the movie The Angel and the Bad Man? It's an old John Wayne movie, and I believe it's been colorized. But it was an old black and white, and it's a classic, and you can watch it on YouTube. You can watch it anywhere. And I would suggest that you do, because there's a lot of cool stuff in that movie. But if you have watched it, or if you will watch it, you'll notice that the mother, there's like a, I don't know if they're, I think they're Quakers. There's a mother in this family, and she is creativity reborn, okay? What she does is she has housekeeping, cooking skills. She has all these wonderful skills, and she uses all of her creativity to bless people and to encourage people and to lift people up. In one instance, this family lives in an arid place, and they need water. And there's this stream, right? But the person uphill from them of this stream it's a cowboy. It's a rancher. And he has decided he's not going to let those farmers have any of that water. He's going to keep the water for his animals, and if he has extra, he's not sharing it with them. So they just have been doing without. I don't know what they do. Like, they have a well, and they bring the water to their crops, and they have to hand water, and it's very laborious, and they're just struggling. But what happens is this feller comes, and John Wayne goes up there, and he says, you're going to open that up and bring the water down. So he brings the water down, and then this fella comes down, and he says, you're going to apologize to these people. And she goes, oh, don't worry about it. And she looks at this fella and goes, is that a boil on your neck? And he goes, yeah, I've been hurting me a while. Come on in, and I'll fix it for you. And he comes in, and she doctors him, and she gives him all kinds of baked goods. And he goes, wow, I got new friends. And he's all excited. And there's this branch of peace and loving kindness. And it just is a wonderful thing, because this woman was able to use her creative womanly skills to build a bridge and make things better. Now, there is also a scriptural counterpart to this, and that is Abigail. Abigail was married to a fella named Nabal, and his name meant fool. Yeah. And King David had been watching over his shepherds so that they weren't harmed by thieves or anything. And when it was time for David and his men to need some provisions, he went to Nabal and said, hey, we watched over your men, and so can we have some provision for our men? And Nabal said, I don't even know who you are. I ain't going to give you nothing. So David was so ticked, he was going to go over there and massacre everything. And Abigail, Nabal's wife, caught wind of it. So she goes, oh, what can I do? I know what. She used her creativity. She loaded up a whole bunch of provisions, and she went out and she bowed before David. She said, please have mercy. Here's your provisions. I'm so sorry this happened to you. And because of her goodness and her kindness, David's heart was really for her. So he said, you have stopped me from shedding blood. I am so thankful for you. So she went back. She told her husband what happened. He dies, because I don't know what, he was struck somehow, and he died. And then David married her, and she became part of his household, and she was always protected, always cared for, because she was using her creativity to do the good thing. Okay, so what makes the difference? Well, we're going to go into that. I'm actually, anyway, let me continue on. So when creativity is done right, it's a balm. It's what creates. It builds bridges. It clears out evil, and it brings like the sunshine in. Women bring the flowers in. Women bring the comfort and refreshing. Now, let me read a scripture in the Psalms. So this is Psalm 147, verse 3. And I think this is really what the part of God, that women can be used by God. God can work through us to bring these different qualities, okay? In Psalm 147, 3, it's so precious how God is expressed as a person who heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. That's what God does. And as women, as we are born again, as we are Eve reborn, then we can be part of this. We can be part of healing the brokenhearted and binding up their wounds. And that includes our husbands. See, our husbands are wounded and they're brokenhearted. I mean, if you have a good man, and he sees what's happening in the world, and he sees people, my husband is very sensitive. He's always noticing the person that's down and out, or the person who's been taken advantage of, or that things just aren't right, and he wants justice, and his heart is broken, and he's wounded. He's been wounded by many things. And what I can do is I can allow God's healing to flow through me to him. And in that way, I'm becoming the hands of God in the earth. And I can use my creativity to do that. But here's the deal. My creativity has to be submitted to God, or it's not creative, it's destructive. And next time we talk, I'm going to break that down. What that looks like, I'm going to be using, of course, the Eve Reborn materials, and she's going to go into more detail. But I think that you're going to see that there are actual ways. There's like a structure that we can see within being submitted to God. When we submit our creativity to God, the change, the potential that's there, and we'll talk about the contrasts. I've been making these videos too long, and I know that it's so hard. Like, you can listen to the first part, but you just don't have time to listen to the whole thing. So I don't want to make this too long. So I'm going to stop right here, and then the next time we're going to go over all the different areas. And I also want to show you, while I was kind of laid out, okay, I was able to complete this. Okay, this is Robin's A Writing Experience. Now I'm going to offer this for free download. It's not completely done yet. I have to put a few finishing touches on it, and I have to do a blog post and upload it and all that kind of thing. But I'll show you just a preview of some of the pages. This is the instructions. I'm calling this a writing experience. This isn't a curriculum. This is just an experience with writing, and especially essays. And it's informational essays, especially, so that, like, I believe it's like junior high school kind of thing. And I'm using Anna Botsford Comstock's Handbook of Nature as the basis. So but you don't have to buy the book. I got the pages, it's public domain, so I just put the pages right here, so it's just open and go. And it's going to have, I had a lot of fun making this. What I did is I did background cutouts of the birds and stuff. It was a lot of fun. Anyway, and then I also have places, what I call warm-ups, and it's going to go over some different exercises, and there's some activities in here, coloring, just drawing, all that kind of stuff. So I include this. It's short and sweet. So, like, if you have a child that you want them to get in the habit of writing essays every day, we'll go over it more. I think I would show too much. But hopefully I could do another video, and we'll just, it'll be ready, and you can just have this, okay? So just look forward to that. Anyway, I hope this has blessed you today. I hope you have a wonderful day. And remember that Jesus is Lord, and that he is the one that heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. Please like and subscribe. Bye-bye.